We all fall into the trap. I'm one of the worst for it, but just judging a player or judging a trade or a move based on 1 week. And we saw that here with Pat Carrigan. The scores aren't updated in this one either, which is unfortunate, but Carrigan ended up at 41. And after his big 82 last week, and the 41 brings him back down to earth at just over 60 average across the 2 weeks. So you look at that, and it's very similar to that of DCE. They both had a great 2 week average of 65 for Daly, and then 61.5 there for Pat with his 41. So really the big thing here is just looking at certain matchups and trying to work out what can happen with minutes. And in this one, 58 minutes is obviously a fair bit lower than where he's been at. He's been at 65, 70 kind of in his normal games, and then up to an 80 when he's moving from middle to edge and going from there. And you see both him and Payne Haas there, the tackle numbers are just ridiculously low. Payne Haas came back on and played an extra 20 minutes and picked up 1 tackle. He had 13 before he went off for his first stint at 33 minutes, and then only 1 extra tackle in 20 minutes, just because they absolutely pumped him. And it's just something to be aware of when you're looking at certain players. This is where the clear rage trade thing, it wouldn't have happened here, obviously, because we got such low trades, but in the start of the season, the middle of the season there, that if you bring in a guy, especially who's a clear gun, they can have a low game. And then bounce back with a big one, and that was the opposite with Carrigan, and it was a big change, obviously, with DCE from 42 to 88. Payne Haas is the extra one here, another one that we need to speak about. Obviously, he ended up at 49 with the update there, but as I said, no, very, very low tackle numbers, and unless they were scoring tries, which in this kind of game here was mainly through the edges, which makes sense when they absolutely smash an Eels team that is absolutely gonski. So they probably were gone before this game, and this really put the nail in the coffin at 54-10 there. Mitch Moses is gone as well, so we go down to the bottom, and let's go through a couple of the sad ones before we can lighten things up a little bit. But Moses, I believe, ended up at 14 instead of his 12. Not that matters too much. It helps the people that own him, but it's a very, very sad one, actually. I think he's owned by about 17 of the top 100. Decent amount of people in the top 1,000 too, so a lot less than it was. I think a few people traded him out in the top 1,000, about 14. So, that's obviously a massive trade out. I moved him on in Supercoach for Cleary, who didn't go so well anyway. But, massive one from Moses. Massive low score for 10 there of Clint Gutherson as well, which is pretty frustrating. You had Davey with 8 in his 46 minutes, and you had Brendan Hands with 8 coming on and playing half when Moses went down. So, just not great overall. You've got Penasini with 19 there. That includes a try assist. They got terrorized down his side a little bit. There was a few unlucky ones that kind of ball got battered down and it came down and he wasn't able to tackle the bloke properly and got a missed tackle from that. And just nothing really was going their way. Moses went down at the start of the second half. Not that really was going to help too much, but Penasini was on 3 at halftime, and we know with Penasini that when Moses is there, he really, really dominates. But the main issue right now is obviously him being gone, but the Eels being so bad, it really just gives him a very limited amount of attacking opportunities. And then defensively, where they're in a bit of disarray, he seems to obviously struggle with the tackling as well. There'll be some games he'll have 19-20 for 1 or 2 misses, and then these games 10 made and 5 missed, which is a real shocker, unfortunately, there. You had bigger minutes from Widemu Greg, so if anyone owns him still, unfortunately, he's going to be losing some cash now the next few weeks. Madison went down to 26. So, again, this is a very, very tough game. Like, I had Penasini in this one for a low one. I know a lot of people had, obviously, Ryan Madison there after his big game last week. And that's the big frustrating thing. It may not have mattered too much because of, you had Davey on that edge that picked up a very low score of under 10 in his 40-odd minutes. But Madison through the middle there, 58 minutes for 26 points with a couple of penalties in there, a few missed tackles, just nothing going right for him, for anyone out there. Cartwright's been absolutely dominant of recent weeks, and he had the 68 minutes for a 32 and 15 tackles only, as we saw. Like, Madison actually tackled plenty for his time out there, to be honest, there with Cartwright only the 68 minutes for 15 tackles. Still a few offloads in his game, but not his type of match in this one. You had Katoni Staggs with 33, so a very low game for him based on how many tries were around him. So he still was able to do a fair bit and shows that he's in much better form. But the tries didn't follow him, unfortunately, in this one. What about Dejan Assi that ended up playing in the centres and went off for the 10 minutes and still had the 34. So surprising, one of the outside backs did actually do all right, along with Sean Russell, who got a try and a try saver with a turnover tackle there. Hopgood's a sad one here, obviously, 37. So there are a few people that don't own him, and the last bunch of weeks have been, got pretty well smashed by that. Fortunately for them, he had a low one, but unfortunate for us that, there wasn't going to be much happening in this one with 8 in negatives. No, just one turnover tackle, no offloads, no tackle breaks in this one for Hopgood, and it'll get better against the lesser sides, but they have a fairly tough run home, but not many of them will be the Broncos, that's for sure. Lussick, I think, ended up at like 36 or 35. He was fine. Obviously, a lot of missed tackles in there. We can't say too much about any of the Eels players. You had Cobo and Palacia, solid. You had Offengawe, who was pretty solid in his first start for the year, I believe, for the Eels. In that one there, we spoke about Payne Haas. Yeah, obviously just a massive one last week and into a lower one this week, but you can't expect much here. And I was hoping they were going to give him a full rest at 33 minutes, but up to 53 is a bit of a walk in the park for him, isn't it? We know he doesn't look like he gets tired at all, and still another week with no missed tackles, very impressive. Farnworth, if you've held on through his missed 1 week, then happy days for you. Take the 49. Walshy with the 51, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what Farnworth was. What about the try from Walters? Very, very impressive. If you have Reece Walsh there, if you're looking at him, obviously this is way above where he's priced at. So, huge. Dylan Brown, the 55. So, the only eel to kind of withstand any of the fantasy scoring pressure. Still had 29 tackles, I believe. They ended him up at 2 misses. But, a couple of errors still. Plenty of run meters. I think he got up to 150 run meters there. A line breaker try, did everything, and then just the dominant guys. We had Capewell with 2 try assists and a try, was massive for him. Congrats. Dean Mariner just making his price way too expensive for next year. Unfortunately, he looks like a really, really solid player on the back of a really great team. And then Reynolds, the 59, was awesome there. So that's that one. And the next one, I believe, is updated. I'm not sure. It is actually. And this one's frustrating, isn't it, with Cam Mciness? If you're a non-owner of him, where'd these minutes come from? Again, I'll complain about it because I had him as a pod. I think I was one of the only 2 people in the top 2 or 3 in the top 1,000 that owned him, and he was lucky to get 50 minutes each and every week. We were like, clawing him back onto the field. Well, I was trying to. I was yelling at the TV, yelling at Fitzy the whole time, trying to get him on because his PPM's so good. And this one, obviously, getting a very simple, easy try as well was frustrating for us non-owners, but 62 in base with only 2 missed tackles and a penalty. So massive for him there with a line break assist as well. 7 tackle breaks. And a few of them are real just simple, easy ones. He actually was crab running a little bit, which is wild. So he must be playing fantasy as well, Mciness. 88 points. So the difference between having him and comparing that to Haas or a couple of the Madisons and these couple of guys at a similar price is just absolutely incredible this week. Him and Ramian, like for people to have Ramian 72 over Penasini's 19, it's just, it hurts. It hurts a lot. But he's absolutely come into form over the last month or so, and it doesn't look too difficult. Like, he's getting to 20 very, very quickly. He's getting to 20 before Hines in most weeks, which is very, very crazy. And end up with that line break try assist early on to get him to close to 30 and like almost 40 at half time. So from that point on, when the Sharks are humming and he's in form, he looks very free at the moment, which he didn't for a lot of the season, but good on him with that one. You had Tino there with 79 as well, so just a massive game for him, and he's demonstrating the scores and the minutes. Well, the minutes were the same at the start of the year. I went back and looked last night. He just wasn't hitting the attacking stats that he was, and it wasn't working as hard with the running wise. 214 meters. He was averaging like 40, 45 max in the first half of the year, and then since then he's just 70 after 70. So very, very impressive for Tino there. Wade Graham to 67, so a massive game for him in his 251st. They celebrated him because he was at home. If you're able to loop him or something, then happy days on that one. Nico Hines 64 was great as well there. Didn't have to do a lot. You had 1 line break in there, plenty of run meters, some offloads, some tackle breaks, just doing his thing. Still a few negatives there at 12, but no tries, no try assists, still 64. So if you him or Cleary as captain, 1 point in the end was the difference. So this is kind of expected, somewhere around that 60 odd to 70. Blake Brayley had a really good game with a couple of try assists. Dave Fafita, 60. Some frustrations, obviously, with the 14 negatives. And I'd say base stat-wise was pretty solid. Just the 1 line break. No try assists, no tries in this one. So, 60 will cop. What about Ronaldo? Looked like he was Gonski's after his first try and then came back and yeah, played out the rest of the game and did well. So with a bit of strapping, Jolla 52. Ended up, yeah, really good for him in his return. So he seems like a guy that really has a crack for that side and does a good job. Nikora, 51. He got bumped up. I think it was about 44, 45. So, yeah, a big bump up there. Not sure exactly where that was from. But, yeah, good base stats, 40 tackles, 6 misses, obviously, but 132 run meters. So you'll take the 51. Tanner Boyd was 50 if you're looping him as well. 7 missed tackles, but still able to get the job done. Obviously, with plenty of kick meters there. Happy days for you. Keep him in your side for the rest of the year, I'd say. Be close to a 50 average. Connor Tracy with a try, so much better game from him. Big run meters, so showing the Dylan Edwards model there. Talakai, the 49, was good as well. He was doing, did his job, obviously, with a couple of try assists to Ronaldo in that one. Toby Rudolph with a try, well deserved. Williams still scoring really, really well. Chris Randall here. So as I said, he probably wasn't going to score as well in the hooking position, and it was a lot worse than we would have thought. Tackle numbers were similar, but had 5 misses, which he hadn't been having, and then, yeah, very low on the run meters, no tackle breaks, no offloads. Jaden Campbell, if you went for him over Carraz, it's most likely a mistake, but 35, yeah, you'll cop it. I suppose he ended up moving into the 6th position, which isn't favourable. Made plenty of tackles, but that meant misses were coming with that. So yeah, probably just as many points as he would get, or more maybe than he would at fullback. But yeah, the run meters were going to be down a little bit. Trindle was solid there, 35. There's a lot of fantasy relevant players. Hey, Aaron Clark, so went back to 41 minutes. Did get sin bin as well. So yeah, a bit of a game for him, unfortunately. Do you move him on? Only if you have trades, really. It's just a bit of a painful one. If you grabbed him a month ago, if you grabbed him this week, I hope not. He should be better for that, for sure. Jesse Colquhoun, 18 and 15 minutes. It works hard, but no minutes. Hardly giving him anything. And Keeney seems like a run-first fullback. Plenty of speed on him. But yeah, that's that. Cam Pereira of 4 and 4 and with 3. Not great on that front. That's the 2 games, guys. I got to get off to coaching. But hope you enjoy the Saturday games, and I'll be watching later today. See you later.